Today on Mike Attempts, replacing a wheel bearing. My 2013 Honda Civic has under 90,000 miles and there's a distinct hum that has been getting louder over the past few months. You can really start to hear it right around this speed. The sound increases as I accelerate, but I still hear it even when I'm in neutral, so I think it's a wheel bearing. The noise seems to be coming from the front driver's side, but I'll need to do further testing. Grab the left and right sides of the tire and shake it back and forth to check for any movement. Grab the top and bottom and repeat. Movement in both directions usually means a bad wheel bearing, but even if there's no play, you could still have a bad bearing. Give the wheel a spin and listen for a grinding sound. Also check the tire for damage, uneven wear, or bulges, as these can also cause noise. If you're still not sure, remove the wheel and the brake caliper. I use some hanger wire to suspend the caliper and avoid kinking the brake line. Now I can spin the rotor to listen for grinding without the brake pads interfering. I definitely hear something, but I'm still not sure, so I decided to compare it to the other side. The passenger side is quiet, so I think I've found the culprit. I got a little ahead of myself and had to backtrack a bit, so here's how to save some time. Ignore the fact that I've already removed my rotor. You don't want to do that yet. The outside edge of the axle nut is pounded down to lock it in place. Use a punch to remove the divot in the metal. Slide the caliper back on and hand tighten the bolts so someone can press the brake pedal while you remove the 32mm nut with a breaker bar. Hang the caliper back up and now you can remove your rotor. Remove the two screws, smack the front with a rubber mallet, and it should release. Again, ignore the fact that my axle nut is still on. Yours should already be removed. Remove the speed sensor. Disconnect the tie rod. Remove the strut bolts. And unbolt the brake line from the bracket. Now you can push the end of the axle and pull it out from behind. I borrowed this hub and bearing kit from my local chain auto parts store. They have a nice list of loaner tools available to help with most jobs. It isn't cheap, but you get all your money back when you return the tools. First, I'm going to use the horseshoe adapter to remove the hub. I popped the strut bolts back in to help keep things stable. I have a wrench holding the nut in the back while I turn the bolt. Half of the inner race came out with the hub, which is normal. We'll take care of that later. I used a punch to be sure the snap ring wasn't stuck, and then removed it with some snap ring pliers. These pliers probably aren't meant for snap rings this large. Every single time they slipped, I thought for sure they broke, but they didn't. After a few tries, I was able to get a screwdriver behind it and pop it out. I went with the following setup to pull the bearing. Be sure to grease the threaded rod, it helps a lot. Removing the old bearing was the hardest part of this job. I was putting so much pressure and torque on the wheel assembly that I decided to tighten the strut bolts to keep things from moving around too much. I was over top of the breaker bar, pushing down with all my weight. I kept having visions of the breaker bar snapping and impaling me through the groin, but it held up just fine. No, I didn't just break something. That was the sound of success. The bearing finally moved, but it's not out yet. I don't see any obvious damage, but stick around until the end of the video and I'll do a bearing autopsy. Be sure to clean the inside well in preparation for the bearing replacement. The new bearing was in the freezer overnight. Use a paper clip to find the magnetic ABS encoder ring. That's the side that will go towards the inside. I set up the tool again and was able to press in the new bearing without much fight. You'll feel it bottom out on the raised lip. Clean up the groove and reinstall the snap ring. Now it's time to remove the inner bearing race from the hub. You do not want to cut all the way through the race or you'll risk cutting the hub. Just take your time and score the race. Then jam a chisel in the groove, give it a few whacks, and the race should split. I set up the tool one last time to press the hub into the bearing. Nice and smooth. Remove the strut and tie rod bolts, clean the axle shaft, and push it through. Replace and tighten the bolts. Reinstall the tie rod cotter pin and secure the speed sensor. Pop on the rotor. Reinstall the caliper. And reattach the brake line to the bracket. Have your assistant press the brake one more time while you tighten the axle nut. Then pound in the divot to lock it in place. Reinstall the rotor screws. Put the wheel back on. And then take it for a test drive. I can't tell you how happy I was when I realized the noise was gone. The outer bearings look okay, but the inner bearings are dark and smell burnt. The outer race, where the dark bearings were riding, is pretty chewed up in one section. Anyone know what could have caused this? Was it just a defect? After cleaning it up, I couldn't find a single letter, number, or marking of any kind to identify the original bearing. Oh well, I'm just glad it's fixed. This job was harder than I thought it would be, but I learned a lot. Feel free to rate this video, add your comments and questions below, and subscribe for more.